Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
You hold me in your arms and keep me safe from harm. I want to run to you.
Welcome to the show, and thank you for tuning in. I want to say a quick thank you to my guest from last week's episode, Grammy Award-winning artist Peabo. If you didn't get to hear it, you can listen to all of our episodes at entertalkradio.com/makingit or download our app and take us with you. Also, be sure to tune in next week to hear my conversation with medical guide Dr. Glenn Wallman on how to live a long and healthy life as a working musician. I'd like to take a moment to also thank the companies that help me sound my best, whether I'm performing live or in the studio recording and producing music. Blue Microphones, Taylor Guitars, Duesenberg Guitars, Seymour Duncan Pickups, Mesa Boogie Amps, Diodario Strings and Planet Waves, Motu Digital Performer, IK Multimedia, Fishman Acoustic Amps, and Exotic Effects. So often I get asked questions about the creative process, so I created this show to focus on what it takes to have a lasting career in the ever-changing landscape of the music business. You're really in for a treat, as I've invited my friends, some of the best and brightest in music, to share their stories on how they have influenced the music that has shaped our lives. I guarantee you're going to love it. So let's get started. My guest today is one of my favorite songwriters, Allan Rich. Let me tell you about Allan. Allan Rich is a two-time Oscar, Grammy, and Golden Globe nominated songwriter. His songs have sold over 65 million copies. He has written hit songs for Natalie Cole, James Ingram, Whitney Houston's Run to You, which you heard at the beginning of this episode, and that sold 45 million copies from the Bodyguard soundtrack. Kenny Loggins, In Sync, and as well as dance singles, two #1 dance singles, Stronger and Walk Away by Kristine W. Allan has also had his songs recorded by everyone from Barbra Streisand, Tina Turner, Rod Stewart, Luther Vandross, Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight, Chaka Khan, BeBe and CeCe Winans, Ray Charles, Dolly Parton, Oleta Adams, Peabo Bryson, Toni Braxton, Charice, Peabo, and Barry Manilow. He and his longtime writing partner, Judd Friedman, have been writing hit songs together for 26 years. Please welcome my guest on today's show, Allan Rich. Hi, Allan.
Well, hi, Terry. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. It's fun to hear all your credits, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm listening and I'm thinking, who is that guy?
Right, that is you, my friend.
Doesn't seem like me. I'm just a regular, average, everyday kind of guy. But if I heard that from somebody else, I would say, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, well, you happen to be that guy, and that guy who's written some really amazing songs over your career, and I know still have plenty more to write. I know you are far from done, and you're a prolific writer. And I
hope you're right.
I'll stand by that. You can hold me to that. That's my prediction on you. I want to start with your upbringing. You were born and raised in Brooklyn, and apparently at age 5 you knew that you wanted to be in the music industry. I understand.
Correct.
I understand you spent a lot of time after school dreaming of being a star, and by the time you were in elementary school, your mom was teaching you and your twin brother song and dance routines so you could go sing side by side from classroom to classroom. Is that a true story?
Yes. How did you know that?
Well,
Are you clairvoyant, or was it in some magazine article or something?
It was in some magazine article. Although you and I are friends and I know a lot about you,
Yes, you do.
I actually find it interesting to well, more than I used to. I like to research and find out more so that I can see what I'm curious about asking you and what our listeners might be interested in knowing about you. So that was a story I did not know about you, but I read in a magazine.
That is really true. It's funny, if you looked at us, my twin brother, I have a twin brother, Larry, or Lawrence,
mm-hmm.
and and when we would go, every year the school would take school pictures. Everybody was in a white shirt or a white shirt and a tie. But, of course, my brother and I were in these brightly striped sport jackets that made us stand out from the rest of and that was my mother's doing, that made us stand out from the rest of the kids in school. And those sport jackets, I guess maybe because my mom made me wear it as a little kid. I hate wearing sport jackets a lot now, only because I remember as a little kid. But we used to go from classroom to classroom. My mother made up a little routine, and we used to sing, "Oh, we ain't got a barrel of money, na-na-na-na-na,
right.
Sonny." You remember that song?
I do.
We used to go from,
I love that song.
From classroom to classroom. And my brother and I were very, very funny. My cousins also, we grew up in a very Jewish background. My grandmother owned a 4-family house in Brooklyn, and we lived upstairs. My cousins lived across the hall. My grandma and grandpa lived downstairs, and my cousins lived around the corner. And so it would always be funny because when it rained, for example, I remember we would always we would want to go to our cousins' classes, and so we'd take an umbrella and make believe that they forgot their umbrella at home when it was raining, so we'd have to go into the classrooms.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we needed attention or whatever, but we did go from classroom to classroom. And if you see two little twin boys who were kind of really little cute little boys in little striped sport jackets, it was irresistible.
So that's where you developed your early sense of swagger and style, I suppose.
Oh yes, you know me well enough to know that I have real swagger.
Yeah,
but
you do.
I'll tell you, you being such a great musician yourself, how it really started for me was from my dad. My dad loved music more than you could ever imagine, and so every Sunday when we were maybe 4 or 5 years old, every Sunday morning my dad would make us bullseye eggs, and then he would take out the Victrola.
My dad made matzo brie.
Oh, well, and my father had this incredible collection of records. The first song I ever heard was "Hush Now, Don't Explain,"
Nice.
Billie Holiday,
Right.
and Sarah Vaughan and Count Basie, and just so many great classic artists. And my father knew every single musician who played on every single record.
Wow.
I never saw my father happier than when he was playing his music. So I think I saw that, and I saw how much he loved it, so it influenced me.
Was your dad an artist also? Was he creative?
My dad could sing. He sang in the choir,
Nice.
But
okay.
And my dad worked in a record store as a kid, and he dreamed of being in the music business. But and unfortunately, or fortunately, my mom and dad got married when they were very young, and a year later, my mom was 18 and my dad was, I don't know. When I think about it now, to think about having 2 children by the time before you were 20 or something, or 19, my dad was just a couple of years older, but they had such responsibilities, and that my dad felt he had to give up the music career so to try to make a living.
Right.
But I always felt a little sad about that because my dad would probably have been far richer and inside and outside had he followed his dream in the music industry.
Sure. But he did get to see your success, right?
Yeah, and can I tell you an interesting story about that?
Of course, yeah.
Every time I had a gold and platinum record, I would have a copy made for my parents.
Oh, nice.
And I would have it sent to their home. Mm-hmm. And one year I came to visit them. I came in the house and I see on the from looking out from my parents' bedroom, there was a wall, and the wall had all the gold records. And my father said, "Even when I'm sleeping, I can see those gold records. That's why I put them there."
How beautiful.
So and he meant that, and it made me feel very, very proud that it meant so much to my dad.
I understand that
because I know that was his dream.
Well, I read in the same article that I was reading about you that your dad had said that he loves music so much it puts him in another world, and you said it does for me as well. So I could see that there was a very strong creative bond, and I could see how
That's
he inspired
true.
you.
My dad worked a lot, and like most dads, he wasn't particularly. My dad was fun. everybody loved my dad, and he was so handsome. He looked like Zorro. All the girls had a crush on my dad when I was in first and second grade. Remember Zorro?
I did.
But he looked just like him. Yeah, and but he was a very sweet, simple man. And you know, he wasn't like most fathers. He wasn't that. My mom was more involved in my day-to-day stuff because my dad was working.
Right.
But this was one area that we really, really shared, and I think that it had a permanent effect on me.
Yeah, in a good way.
And a very good way.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you a story. I hope I don't get choked up, but unfortunately, my dad passed away 2 years ago.
Right, I know.
And when I flew to Florida to see him for the last time. I knew it was going to be the last time. I knew it was probably going to be one of the last times.
Right.
I brought my complete collection of Ray Charles, and I bought a cassette player for him. And I remember him sitting on the couch, tapping his feet and his toes, listening to all the Ray Charles songs, and he was clapping his hands. He was happy, but he got tired after about 20 or 30 minutes. But we shared those 20 and 30 minutes, and I saw the little sparkle in his eye that I'd always seen as a child. And I always felt, I'm getting a little choked up, but I saw that sparkle, and it made me feel so good that we had that moment together sharing music even at the end.
Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with me.
It's true.
You know, I know that creativity runs deep in your family. You know, your brother Larry was one of the only two kids in junior high that got accepted to the High School of Music and Art, and your sister Nadine fronted a rock band.
Yeah.
Oh, and right, yeah, to two schools. While you were attending Springfield Gardens High School in Queens, you were accepted into a much sought after acting program, which led to you performing on a weekly New York radio show. And you followed that up with voice and dance lessons and acting classes, which I think is really cool that you had such a broad
I wasn't a good actor,
range.
but I took it because I thought I was a pretty good singer, and but I always was concentrating on the sound of my voice,
right?
Because I had this very ethereal kind of Art Garfunkel pretty voice, but I wanted to make sure that I was communicating, because you know what, the greatest singers in the world are the ones who are the communicators. It doesn't mean they have the most perfect voices, but so I took acting class so that I get lost in the lyrics of the song and not concentrate so much on the sound of my voice.
The sound.
So that's why I took acting class.
Yeah, more the intention.
Correct. Right. So that when I sang it, I got so lost in it.
Oh, that's great. Was your heart set on being a performer when you were a kid, or were you always drawn to being a songwriter, or was it a combination?
No, I thought I was going to be a famous singer. I did, but you know, you make plans and God laughs.
Yeah, story of my life too. Right.
But what happened? What happened is that I would, like so many of us, Allie Willis and Marsha Malamet and Mark Shaman and Desmond Child, we all started, and Bruce Roberts, in this little club, Reno Sweeney's, which was the quintessential club in New York where Peter Allen got discovered and so many other famous people. And we were all young singer-songwriters in New York City.
Right.
And I would headline. In fact, I was Whitney Houston's mom, CeCe Houston's opening act. She picked me to be her opening act. And I would sing at the grand finale. I'd sing at all these places, and eventually I built a following. And there came a point when all the record labels came to see me at Reno Sweeney's. And, you know, my brother always said, Alan, I thought that night you were going to become a star. Yeah. And the place was so packed. Right. I needed like a bodyguard to even walk through the hallway to get to the stage. People were screaming so loud, but I didn't get a record deal. And I felt so heartbroken. Yeah. And I felt so discouraged after that, because I said, how much more can I do? People are going crazy, you know, but you know very well, just because an audience is going out of their minds doesn't mean a record label will sign you. And so I was so heartbroken that I decided I was going to move to California, and I was going to shut my mouth and just concentrate on songwriting and
Right.
screw everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. I moved to California, a little heartbroken,
Sure.
trying to start over again in California because I felt I'd come as far as I could go in New York. And if I couldn't get a record deal then how could I get, then I wouldn't get one at all. So
Right.
I came here and I just started writing songs. And I had 2 jobs. I worked at the famous Source restaurant, the health food restaurant on
Yeah, I remember.
and Sunset.
Yeah.
And then I had a weekend job selling shoes on Venice Beach. And the owner of the shoe, there were these beautiful Australian, like Capezio, really soft leather dance shoes that all the rock and rollers and musicians wore.
Right.
But so I did that. I did the waiter job during the week, and I did the shoe job on the weekend. And little did I know
during the day. Yeah.
Yeah, but little did I, and I'd write songs all day, and then and then I'd rush home, change my clothes, and go to the restaurant 3 or 4 nights a week, and then on the weekend do my shoe job. But little did I know, and this has probably been the motto of my life, is that things happen in ways you never expect them to.
Mm-hmm.
And I met a musician and a producer and I sold him a pair of shoes. And the story. He changed my life.
I do. That we've got about less than a minute before we go into the first commercial, and we're going to finish that story when we come back. But I know that shoe selling job on Venice Beach led to you placing 2 songs on a platinum record of Patti LaBelle's and a #1 R&B hit for Gladys Knight, and more things. So. I love that, because I found the same thing when I moved to L.A., that some of my biggest experiences came about through very unexpected ways. Not through the front door, but the side door. Yeah.
That shoe job connected us because, I ended up writing 3 songs with Barry Manilow with that producer.
On his Manilow record,
Melanie
too.
And you, so you and I, we're all connected.
We certainly are. We're going to be right back. We're just taking a short break here with Allan Rich on Making It with Terry Wallman, and there's plenty more to talk about.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the Intertalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome back. You're listening to Allan Rich and I having a conversation about his career on Making It with Terry Woolman. And that's my favorite James Ingram song of all time, I Don't Have the Heart, written by you and your writing partner of 25 years, Judd Friedman. What a beautiful
Correct.
song.
Well, you know the story. I just want to tell you, Terry, that was the first song Judd and I ever wrote.
Oh, the very first. Wow, what a way
The
to
very
start.
first. Isn't that crazy? And it was number one.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah,
It just
well,
shows you
yeah.
that we were meant to be.
Yeah, that just gave me a little bit of chills, because you're right. It's really, you guys have, you hit it out of the ballpark on your very first collaboration, and you've been doing so ever since.
Kathy Spanberger. Do you know Kathy Spanberger, the head of Peer Music?
Yes.
She's responsible. You know from being in the music industry in the earlier days that the publishers were really instrumental in creating a very unique and special matchups and collaborations between songwriters. And Kathy Spanberger was a friend of mine, and she was about to sign Judd to Peer Music, and he ended up being at Peer Music for 10 years. But she called me up and she said, do you have a lyric? Because I'm about to sign this songwriter, and I think the two of you would be very good collaborators. I think you'd have magic. So I said, I do have a lyric. I have a verse and a chorus, but I don't want to give it to anybody till I finish the second verse. And she said, no, I want you to give it to me right now, and I'm going to give it to him. And I didn't, I trusted her, and so I gave her the verse and the chorus, sent it to Judd, and 9 days later we finished it together, and we had a demo, and it ended up being our first number one. So, and the second song we ever wrote was the Oleta Adams song, I Just Had to Hear Your Voice, which was a number one adult contemporary. So I think the universe gave us signs that we had a special marriage.
Very clearly. And it's been probably one of the longest relationships that you've ever been in, or even
that is my
myself.
longest relationship.
That's 25 years is a long time, and but that's probably created a really interesting sense of intimacy and an intuition and trust between the two of you that allows you to go so deep and bring depth and heart to your songs.
I think you're right, and we just have a language of our own. And people who are collaborating with us, maybe an artist or a new third person, they can definitely feel, the strength that we have between the two of us in our communication. And also, look, and you know this as well. No matter how many years you're working with somebody, you still want them to like what you do and you like your ideas.
Sure.
And I still feel, I still feel sometimes funny throwing out ideas, but we always say there's a garbage pail right there. If it's not a great idea, we'll throw it in the garbage and we'll start with the next one. Right. And so that's, but I still care about what he thinks about my idea, and if he doesn't like something, of course,
it's
it could hurt my feelings sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
And sometimes with him too. Like Judd's very funny because Judd will, if I say, Judd, I really like that song, he says, but do you love it? I said, he wants you to love it, and I understand that. But if I just say, well, I really like that song, it's not enough for him. Do you love it?
Wow. Yeah. I wanted to go back and just have you finish the story because of, selling shoes in Venice Beach and meeting a producer selling shoes to him and it parlaying directly into your career blowing up. And here's my question about that. Did you intuitively know, or were you shy, or were you confident about saying, I'm a songwriter? I'm not just a guy selling shoes. I'm a songwriter, and I want I want you to hear my songs. How did that conversation go, and was it comfortable for you? Yeah.
Robert Marcus and Susan. Robert and Susan Marcus, they were a married couple. They owned the shoe stand, and Robert was a songwriter too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But and he said to me, we have a lot of music people that come to the shoe stand. He said, and one producer in particular, he's already bought 10 pair of shoes. But if he ever comes for another pair of shoes and you're around, I'm going to introduce you to him.
Nice.
And his name was Howie Rice.
Right.
And so I always think what would happen if I wasn't there the day he came. Maybe I would have created something else happening. I don't know.
Right,
but
right.
I thank God that I was there, and he introduced me to him, and I told him that I was a songwriter. And I don't remember. I think I had a cassette. It was a cassette at those days, so you can imagine. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think I said to him, here's my cassette. Let me know what you think. And, one night deep in sleep, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call. And I immediately thought, oh, my God, is somebody in the family? Is something going on with And I said, who is this? He said, hi, this is Howie Rice, and I really like your songs. And I thought, and what was very funny is, I thought, being a songwriter yourself, it's such a rejecting business. There's so much rejection that even if just the fact someone tells you they like your songs, you hold on to it like a lifeline. Dearly, yes. So I held on to it dearly, but I thought to myself, couldn't you tell me that at 9 o'clock, not at 3 o'clock in the morning? I kept on thinking, but I was still happy that he liked my songs. Right. Now here's the. And he said, listen, I said to him, let's write some songs together sometime. He said, sure. So I went to bed feeling so excited that I was going to have a new collaboration with a record producer, but I could never get him on the phone again. Oh. So, and this is where I think I've been maybe a little lax in the last many years, but I wasn't in my early days. Right. And what happened was I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to chalk this up to another flaky songwriter-producer, or am I going to try to figure this out? And so I thought, what could I do? And this is what I've done my whole career. I realized that he called me at 3 o'clock in the morning, so I said, he may be pissed at me, but I'm going to set my alarm for 3, and I'm going to call him. So I set my alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning, got up, called him on the phone, and I was nervous because I thought I'm going to piss somebody off. Sure. He got on the phone. And I could not believe that I got him on the phone. So I knew that I had to seize the opportunity. I somehow talked my way into going over to his house that night at 3 o'clock in the morning. That night.
That's seizing a moment, yeah.
Correct, because I knew that I might not have another chance. And I guess for the next year and a half, I did that several nights a week. And the first 2 songs we wrote were from the Patti LaBelle Winner in You record. I wrote co-wrote 2 of those songs, and it was Patti's big record. And then, and one of our songs, Something Special Is Going to Happen Tonight, ended up being the theme song to the movie Outrageous Fortune, and also in the movie Sweet Liberty with Alan Alda. So, and then he said, I may be producing Gladys Knight, and do you have an idea? I said, I do have an idea, and let me write this lyric. And
that's Love Not Next to Nothing? Is
correct.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And I loved that title, and my friend Jeff Facetto and I worked on it. I brought somebody in, and then we let Howie write the bridge, and then he produced it, and that was a number one R&B song. And then afterwards, he said to me, I may be producing Barry Manilow. And Barry Manilow is one of my idols, and Marty Panza is one of my lyric idols. Right. Yeah. And one of the greatest lyric writers. And I thought to myself, that is as far-fetched as I could possibly imagine. I'm still a shoe salesman. I'm still working in a restaurant. There's no way I'm going to meet Barry Manilow. And one day, I remember it was in April, but I don't remember the date. The phone rang, and it was Howie Rice. Howie Rice unfortunately had problems with his vision. And so he said, Alan, pick me up in 20 minutes. We're going to Barry Manilow's house. So I had to drive. So I said, my car is filthy. My little Honda Accord LX is filthy. I wish I had. He said, just pick me up in 20 minutes. I said, how could I bring my? Anyway, we went up there. I was Barry knew that I was a shoe salesman and that I worked a restaurant job, but I came highly recommended, and Barry took a chance on me, and we wrote 3 songs together for his Manilow record. It was the only record, I think, on RCA, and it was just the biggest thrill of my life.
Well, bless Barry for seeing who you really were.
Yes, and Barry will always be one of the most important people in my life, as will Howie Rice.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just tell you an interesting story that connects us again, because you and I and Melanie have very strong connections together based on who we are as people, but also the people we work with.
Right.
Because you and Melanie have worked with Barry, and here was my Barry connection. But I understand you've worked with Billy Preston.
My very first tour, Billy, yeah.
And I have a Sarita Wright story to tell you, because they did with you on Born Again.
This is great. Because we played that song on my very first tour. Born Again.
Well, I didn't write that song.
It seems like one you might have written, but go ahead, tell me the story.
That's true. People tell me that. People would say that to me, that it sounds.
Yeah.
But here, I was a waiter in the restaurant, Source Restaurant. A lot of famous people came to that restaurant.
Yeah.
One of them, and I remember it was booth number 2, B2. Was I remember that. I could see her right like yesterday.
Right.
Sarita Wright used to come in. Tom Cruise would come in.
Yeah.
Just all the famous, Barry Mann and Steve Terrell, everybody.
Right.
So many famous people. And but Sarita Wright was in booth 2, and I thought, I'm going to have enough nerve, but I'm going to tell her that I'm a songwriter. Even though I know I'm wearing a black apron, and it's going to be hard to fathom.
Right.
I'm going to tell her. So I said, I want you to know I'm a songwriter too. And she said, oh, that's very, very nice, and da-da-da-da. But, I felt like, there's not very much credence when you're wearing a black apron.
I know, yeah.
Well, fast forward to several years later when Smokey Robinson had his big comeback, the One Heartbeat record.
Yes.
You remember he had that huge comeback record?
I do.
Well, I wrote a song with Stephen Geyer, and Smokey Robinson did it as a duet with Sarita Wright.
Are you kidding
and
me?
I walked into the house, and they invited me to the recording session.
Right.
And I walked into the house, and Sarita answered the door, and I said, Sarita, do you remember where you know me from? Because I was there for the recording session, and she said to me, the minute you walked in, I knew that I knew you, but I can't tell you where I know you from. I said, how's about I was your waiter in the Source Restaurant, and here I am from being your waiter. I'm coming here to watch you record my song.
Right.
And she screamed, oh, my God, you're right. And she hugged me, and she signed my lyric sheet, and she wrote, Dear Allan, remember, music will prevail.
Oh. You still have that, I would imagine.
Well, here's the thing. I've moved so many times. There was a box of all. Every time I had a recording artist record my song, and I was there, I would have a lyric sheet and take a picture with them and have them sign the lyric sheet.
Yes.
But I think I lost the box, and I don't think I've had moved so many times I can't find the box.
So it's either in storage or it's out.
Well, either it's still in storage or it was lost. But yes, I did. I had a whole list. Maybe I had 20 or 30 signed lyric sheets. So, but I never forgot what Sarita wrote.
How beautiful!
Because it was so powerful.
I love that story. I read. I know that you just mentioned Marty Panzer and also Barry Manilow as big influences on you. Who are some of the other lyricists or songwriters, poets, or painters that have profoundly influenced you as a writer?
Well, I'll tell you who my 2 favorite records, because growing up in college, was Eli and the 13th Confession, Laura Nero.
Yes.
And Carole King's Tapestry. Those were my 2. And I love the Carpenters. I love John Bettis. Yeah. I loved his lyric writing. But Asher and Simpson were very important to me. I used to... my favorite song in the whole world is Ain't No Mountain High Enough. That's my all-time favorite number 1 song.
What about that song in that period of songwriting resonates with you so strongly?
About what? Ain't No Mountain High Enough?
Yeah, Ain't No Mountain High Enough. I had read that was one of your favorite songs. Diana
Ross, the combination of the joy in the song and Diana Ross's vocal. I don't know. And I have my twin brother. It's his favorite song too. So, but I'm just trying to think that Billy Steinberg and Tom Kelly are 2 of my favorite songwriting team. They've done such great work together.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
And Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, you know, they are so legendary. The fact that they even know who I am, and not only that, you know, they had seen how hard I'd worked for so many years, and when I won my first BMI award, they were there and they stood up and cheered for me. I'll never forget it because they really touched my heart. And when I got into the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, they sponsored me. They were one of the sponsors. Arthur Hamilton, who wrote Cry Me a River, was the other sponsor. So you can only imagine.
So it's not only that you're the joy of being recognized by your peers, but the understanding that you've become one of their peers is really profound.
I don't know if I've become one of their peers. But,
you don't think so?
You know, when Barry, I think I have, but I certainly haven't had the. I'm outside in the street, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Right, with my little puppy who just had a little operation. So I'm just trying to. He's sitting down, but anyway, the Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, you know, that we were on the Ray Charles record together, right? And Jed and I wrote the song. I wrote this complete lyric in it because I was really kind of upset. You know, I've written a few lyrics for myself when I've been feeling really down, and I wrote this lyric called "So Help Me God," because I was feeling that way. I feel like I felt lost in my own life at that moment, and so I had given the lyric to Judd, and Judd said, "You know, I'm not sure I really want to write a song with the word God in the chorus." So, so anyway, but he ended up writing it because he got some idea in the middle of the night. But Barry Mann was on the same record, and he came over to me and he said to me, "Allan, I can't tell you how much I loved your song, So Help Me God." What a great song that is. Right. For Barry Mann to say that to me, is everything. Everything. And so, you know, look, even with James Ingram, with the James Ingram song, right? James Ingram said to me, you know, when we wrote the song, I don't know, I somehow got James's address, and I just sent it coldly.
Yeah, Allan, I need you to hold that thought because we're running into our next break. Sorry to cut you off.
Okay, great. No problem.
We'll be right back with Allan Rich with some more fascinating stories.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Girls are talking rock again.
And people are listening.
Today we're talking bands.
Let's talk promotion. Red Giant promo, graphics, EPKs, video, photos, social media, and brand building using content marketing.
But let's talk studio at CCMA, which is events, rehearsal, tour prep, piano, guitar, voice, rock band, lessons, workshops, and clinics. Yeah!
Both proud sponsors of Girls Talk Rock.
Well, get the lowdown on these services and contact me, Tracy, at girlstalkrock.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Peabo Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Peabo Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Welcome to Making It with Terry Woolman, the show that explores the secrets, successes, and strategies for making it in the music biz. And now, here's your host, Terry Woolman.
Welcome back to my conversation with songwriter Allan Rich, and that's your song, I Live for Your Love, that Natalie Cole sang. You were just talking about the Ray Charles song that you wrote, So Help Me God. And
yes.
And I actually had a question about that particular song, and because or not so much the song, but the process. You were talking about the song coming out of your own feelings of hopelessness and helplessness in your own life. And do you think that the best songs are the ones that are cathartic for the writer and at the same time inspirational for the listener?
Well, I do. I think they ring true, but I also think if you can, like when I'm writing a like I don't have the heart or I just had to hear your voice, I always make believe I'm an actor, and so I write the lyric as if I feel like it's coming from this character's voice. And so I think if I connect to the truth of that, my songs can be as potent as the ones that are personal to me.
That makes sense.
When you come up with listen, it's not every day you come up with a great concept. They come very far and few between. But the minute I knew I had, I was walking around the house and I had, the chorus, I don't have the heart to hurt you, it's the last thing I want to do, but I couldn't get that next line. And I was walking around and I said, what would that line be? What would I be saying to that person? And then I got this, I felt like it was divine intervention. I got this line, and I said, but I don't have the heart to love you, not the way you want me to.
Right.
I got goosebumps all over my whole body and go, oh, my God. I knew that I hadn't delivered the line, that it was delivered to me. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I was connected to whatever, a higher power, whatever it was, to hear it.
Right.
And that was not a song that I wrote out of personal experience, although, of course, everybody knows how it feels to love somebody and then not love you back. But it wasn't what I was dealing with at the time when I wrote the song. But I think it still hurt as much. Even Luther Vandross called me once, may he rest in peace, one of the greatest male singers that's ever lived.
You're not kidding.
And he said that every time the song comes on the radio, he has to turn it off because it hurts him so much. To me, that was a big compliment.
That's very powerful. Yeah, and because he was a very emotional guy.
Yeah,
and he also, I think, like you and I, understood that it comes through us, not from us. Our best work.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jed and I have tried our whole careers to move and touch people through songs, and I think everybody was always telling us not to write ballads, but we had to do what we thought we did best.
Right.
And most of our hits, in fact, the majority of our hits have been ballads.
They have. I know that you're not limited to being a ballad writer, but you've had great successes as one, and I think perhaps it's because your intention when you and Judd sit down to write is so clear that you are wanting to move and touch people with your music and words. Yeah,
I think we care a lot, and Judd. Listen, Judd is a very left and right brain. you know, he's a Harvard and Yale. He graduated from Harvard undergraduate and went to Yale Law School and gave it all up to be a songwriter.
That's courageous.
So, yes, and he's, you know, Judd has a confidence about him, and he can write melodies. You know, I always say he's my Burt Bacharach because I've had the good fortune of writing one song with Burt Bacharach, and it was an amazing experience. But we never wrote a second song. But I say Judd was my Burt Bacharach, you know, because when he would write a melody to my lyric, suddenly my lyric became important. It was elevated. I always felt it was one-dimensional on a page, and I was always making apologies. But when a melody and a lyric come together,
right, and brings your story to life. Yeah,
it absolutely does. And Judd, you know, Judd has done that so many times, and I feel like on the other hand, hopefully I've helped elevate our songs from a lyric standpoint, and also I have a good melody sense. I can edit. I'm a good editor in telling him that this doesn't work here, or this should go here. So, you know, and I will say that in the 25, 26 years that we've been writing partners, we've rarely had a fight. We've had one or two moments, but I think our batting record is pretty high.
Is Judd, like yourself, a singer? Does he have a vocal background and an acting background?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he started out as a singer-songwriter playing in piano bars on the East Coast.
Got it.
Yeah, Judd has one of the highest male voices you'll ever hear.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So
let me switch gears with you. I'm a big believer in the tactile experience of writing using paper and pencil instead of a computer, and I know that you call yourself electronically challenged. Tell me about your creative writing process and if you feel limited or liberated by your relationship with technology.
I feel limited.
You do?
But I feel limited by not knowing technology very well. I feel like I'm not as relevant as I probably should be. I don't know things about Spotify and all those other things. I don't know how to use. I mean, I honestly, I'm going to sound. Whoever's listening to me on the radio right now is going to be shocked. I don't even know how to use iTunes. I mean, it's terrible. So it's embarrassingly, you know. But
I'm laughing because that doesn't seem to have held back your career.
Well, I think
as an artist.
Honestly, but the last many years, I think I might have helped me a bit more if I'd been more savvy on you know, using those things. But I love putting a pencil to paper, and I love scribbling on paper, writing like a doctor.
Right.
Just, you know, I did that last night. I'm working on a lyric. You know, there's a very famous record producer who shall remain nameless, but I saw him at Barbra Streisand's concert a couple of weeks ago, and I said he's one of my real inspirations. And I said to him, you know, I was happy that he knew who I was, and I just couldn't stop raving about him. And I said, you know, I'm going to write you a lyric, but I haven't had the last many weeks. I really haven't had a lyric come out, but I got this idea. And I'm almost finished with the lyric, I hope, you know, and I really want to present it to him, but it happened just by listening to, you know, I love listening to other people's songs and songs on the radio. When I'm left alone in the car, it always leads me to, and I have scratch paper. I mean, if you would see the scratch paper and the way I write it at the steering wheel at a red light, hieroglyphics.
I've done that. Yes, I can relate. Do you write better under the pressure of a deadline, or do you prefer to write for the pure joy of writing, like which is what you seem to be doing right now?
Well, I prefer. You know, when I'm doing it on my own, I give myself a gestation period. Songwriting is so difficult to me in terms of because I'm so ADD that I can't sit still long enough that I have to. Sneak write to myself. I have to fool myself into writing, and I have my own little. You know, we each have our own interesting way of getting things accomplished.
Right.
And but when I'm writing with Judd, I like writing with another person under pressure. I don't like writing by myself under pressure.
When there's a deadline, you like the collaborative aspect of that.
I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I also like taking the time. Like I write. If I write one I got a really good line last night driving home. I went to see the 8 Days of the Week. The Ron Howard's. There was a screening of the Beatles documentary.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way home, I was listening to the radio, and I got this idea, this one line for this lyric that I'm working on. I thought, I don't mind if I wrote one line in a whole day. To me, and if it's a good one, I feel like I've succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds stupid.
No, it doesn't. I'm the same way with writing lyrics, and even when I'm arranging, if I'm writing a melody, but if I'm doing a string arrangement, I'm fine taking 3 hours on 4 bars to find the perfect combination of notes and voice leading or the right word, that thrills me. So I understand that.
I feel like I'm sneaking myself into hopefully finishing this lyric. If I thought about having to sit down and write the lyric, I don't think I could. But if I fool myself into writing it, then I wake up one day and go, oh, my God, I've got a lyric here. How do you like that?
Right.
So I'm in the process of fooling myself.
And then when you feel it's at a certain point, then you bring it to Judd? Is that how that goes?
Yes, but
okay.
This lyric, this is a lyric I'm going to pitch to...
this other writer,
this famous producer who I always wanted to work with.
There you go.
Judd has invented this music business app for songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Quack, QWAQQ.com, and he's so involved in it. He's been working nonstop. He has a whole advisory board. He has investors.
Right.
It's a big deal, and people are just blown away by it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't write with him as much as I used to, except he's still my main man, and we don't write as much as we used to because we can't get things recorded like we used to be able to.
Yeah, it's a different world right now. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And if you're not part of a camp or a production team or it's much more challenging. So I write when there's a project. Judd and I have been having a bit more success. We had 2 number-1 songs in Italy, and now we have some big, I know it sounds crazy, but 2 big things in Poland that are happening, and
that's fantastic.
Another song in Italy.
Right.
I'm just going wherever, I'm doing it wherever I can.
Right. Yes. I applaud you for that. I think that's really forward thinking and thinking outside of the box. You were mentioning that website, but I want to ask you about your website. Can you tell everybody where they can find out more things about you and hear your music and see what you're up to?
I think I remember my website. It's a nice website. It's not like the fanciest website, but it's adequate. And it's Allan, Allan, Rich, Rich. I think it's AllanRichSongs.com. You think that's what I'm saying? I don't even know. Hold on a second. I'm going to look at the computer while I'm talking.
I actually think it's AllanRich.com, but what I remember seeing about it is it's very sparkly. It's fun to look at, and it's got a lot of great information.
Let's see. I know. I think it's Allan Rich Songs.
Well, something, Allan. Whatever it is, we will find it and put it up on the website with the show, and so people can find it when they go to entertalkradio.com/making it, and there'll be a page, and this conversation is archived, so people can hear it again as many times as they want, and we'll make sure your website's up. I have another question for you. We have about 4 more minutes left to.
God, that went fast when you're having fun.
I know.
Things go fast.
I agree. I feel the same way. At this point of your life, with everything that you know to be true, what advice would you give your younger self, that 5-year-old Allan who knew he wanted to make music his life?
Well, I'm still a worrier, and I was always a nervous and worried person. And if I look back, I would say, Don't be so worried. Don't be so nervous all the time. It's all going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And if I wish I could always feel that, so that I could be more present and have more joy. Because even when there's been joyous moments, there's always so much nervousness around, or fear, that it somehow dampens some of the joy. So I think as a little kid, I would just say, you know what? I'm telling you, it's all going to be fine. If I promise you that it's all going to be fine, will you have more fun? Will you not worry so much? That's what I would say to myself, and I still try to talk myself into that as well now.
Sure, yeah.
Because not to sweat the small stuff, not to worry so much about just, love what you love and do what you love and buy what you love and, don't listen to what everybody else says. Just really know who you are well enough to know what gets you high. And I mean that naturally high.
Yes, yeah.
I'm an art collector. And I can't tell you that I probably love art even sometimes more than music. When I go into the art gallery, I'm like, oh, my God, I wish that I was a superstar and I had millions and millions and millions of dollars. I still have some very, nice pieces. But when I look around my house and I look at the art, I go, now since other people there are other people that don't get it when they come to my house. But you know what? They have other things that they love. It makes me high when I see that.
Right, they make you happy.
It makes me so excited. Yeah. So...
Do you lean towards, what are the mediums that you lean towards? Are they paintings? Are they sculptures? Or
no, contemporary.
Contemporary art.
Mm-hmm.
Colorful?
Yes, very good. You and Melanie, we're going to have to, you're going to have to come to Studio City, and we'll go grab some food together, and then you'll come over and see.
We would love that. Yes. That'd be great. And
we met at a restaurant. Let's continue in a restaurant.
That's right. That's and that's the beautiful randomness of the art community is how we all find each other, and the times that we find each other when we're ready to be in each other's lives. We have basically less than a minute, and I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me and sharing your story. I'm such an appreciator of your work and of and love having you as a friend. And I thought, I've been thinking so carefully about who I want to have on my show, especially in the first 2 months. And you were definitely on the top of the list.
Thank you for thinking of me. I really mean that. But I'm going to tell you something.
Yes.
You're a joy. You're a great interviewer. And
Thank
I had
you.
a joy. It went by so fast that I can't believe an hour went by already.
Yeah, it does fly by. For me as well. So that's a good sign. We're doing it right. So everybody, if you haven't, go check out everything that Allan Rich has written and go enjoy it. And thank you for spending your time with us today. And thank you, Allan, for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Terry. Give my love to Melanie.
I will do that. Take care.
Tune in again next week for another great episode of Making It with Terry Woman.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Peabo Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Peabo Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Peabo Audio can help make it happen. We are Peabo Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.